be smoking. So he took us to Jan's car and told him what we had done and stuff. And Jan says, well, I assure you they'll be punished. They'll be severely punished. And then when he walked away, her and her best friend just laughed and laughed and laughed. They thought it was so funny. And she said, yeah, like we're going to punish you. So anyway, the main thing I remember about Jani, like Bob said, she had a lot of trials and a lot of things go on in her life. But I know every time I would call her and talk to her on the phone, no matter what, she always had a positive attitude. She always looked on the good side of things. You know, how can I get something good out of this? She never wanted to just hold on to the bad. And I talked to her probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and she knew she was dying. But I've never heard anybody so positive and so cheerful, knowing that they're going through what they're doing. And she's always an inspiration to me. And I'll carry her in my heart forever. Thank you.
Well, first I want to acknowledge my sister Kathy. She's my dad's real sick, and she wasn't able to come. She stayed with him, so she's at home in Houston. Her heart's here, my dad's heart's here, but they couldn't make it. So, what I wanted to say is, she's my cheerleader. She did the stupidest stuff sometimes, though. I got this new job, and it was working at the prison. My personnel, I've never even been to a jail, okay? So it was like a real new experience. And I kept calling her. I'm going, I just don't think I'll get this. I don't think I can get this. So she said, you can. I'm going to give you some positive dots. And I had no idea what a positive, okay. Thanks. But she always said, you can do it. I don't know where she got the confidence in me, but she thought I could do anything. Anything. Anyway, I hung up, and I'm thinking, dots, okay. About 5 days later, I get an envelope with dots and a detailed instruction manual on what to do with the dots. The dots were these little, the ones you buy at the store, but they're not the big ones. They were the ones about this size. And I was to take these little yellow, of course they had to be yellow, dots, and put them anywhere that whenever I was feeling down, if I looked at a dot, I would know I could do it. And so I had them, I was pretty insecure. So I had them on my steering wheel, on the radio buttons, on my pillow, the bathroom mirror, pretty much anywhere, these yellow dots everywhere. And whenever I looked at the yellow dot, I just thought, I could hear her saying, you can do it, you can do it. Can do it. In fact, I think I had one in the middle of my watch till I couldn't really read the second hand. And as a nurse, you really need the second hand. So, but she, I could tell a million stories. Mostly we beat up on each other, a lot. And I remember my grandparents used to ask me if we could ever get along, but they didn't realize that we were one. So I will miss her.
I'd just like to thank all of you who had the ability, had the courage to come up and speak and share your story, share a little bit more of Jani's life. I think those of us who knew her recognize her in your stories, and thank you so much. And for all of you who are here, I know her family really appreciates your loving presence here. And so at this time, to conclude our sharing, Brian is going to offer a song as well. He's getting himself prepared. And they'll close our time of specifically around her life.
If you don't mind, I wanted to share just a couple of remarks as well, just before the song started, and that way everybody else could speak first. But I know we've been kind of running long, so I'll try to keep this as brief as I can. But I got a lot from my mom, and one of them was the gift of gab, so my idea of brief may be different than yours. I'm sorry now. My mom and she had such a variety of life. I mean, she is one of those people that, when she spent so many of the last years confined to home, you'd think maybe she didn't get a chance to live life, but she was the one that, grabbed life and squeezed the juice out of it, and just drank it. She used to say that she couldn't believe how square her two sons were when she was such a hippie and a crazy, wild outcast and just, totally insane and totally nuts. And, Donnie and I would just laugh, and, on some level, I guess I would try to work that next day to aspire to be a little bit more crazy like my mom. We went through a lot of ups and downs in our life. I know she's here today. I was struggling just before the service start to have enough courage and confidence to come up here. And so I kind of went outside the church for a minute right when Marshall showed up. And by the way, thank you guys so much. I mean, these are my friends, my lifelong friends, my brothers. I'm only missing Ronnie, and that's only because he's staying at work, that we do the same job, and he's just covering for me so I can be up here. But I went outside, and I was trying to think about this song and get the courage and make sure I could sing it. And I was really starting to cry. And then all of a sudden, I just felt this calm, and I just felt like this smile, and just pretend you're just singing it to me. Just sing it to me. And all of a sudden, I just got this smile on my face, and I just became calm, kind of like I'm doing right now. And I just realized that it didn't matter. It didn't matter what anything else. There's a million stories and things, and I can never, ever really give you all the details of the experiences that she shared and gave me. There were so many times in our lives that it was just the two of us, especially after my dad died when I was young. There was a lot of times there that she was in real trouble. And, on some level, I have been facing her dying since I was 8 years old. She was so sad. And then she, would get back up, and this roller coaster of life, that's how I thought of my mom, is that, she'd have her moments, and then she would say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be smiling and everything else. And, I mean, she was the kind of person that she would look at this room right now and pick the person that looked like they were the most withdrawn and the most on their own, and make sure she went and sought them out to make sure they were okay and take care of them. And, like you were talking about, your daughter, Jessica, that, that's the kind of, that's how she was. And that's how she taught me, is that you should never be alone or scared of being with people. And I'm so grateful for that. Forgive me if you don't know my mom that well, or me, but she had an incredible sense of humor. And things that I didn't even really think was that funny, she would find just absolutely hilarious. So I'm going to share with you a recent experience. I was sitting there at work, and I was thinking about how I just seen